I hope this gives you a little indication of the way I am at the game. I think it's more important for the Bills. It'd be great if the Bills won this game. Like I said, I don't think it means as much to the Eagles. What my real hope is they meet again in San Francisco in February for the Super Bowl, because I want that to happen at some point. So it's still alive for this year. So let's see how it happens. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel and wherever you are hearing this podcast. I'm Mike Catalano. Thanks for being with me today. I will begin with this. Once again, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. We'll be early saying Happy New Year. It's coming up soon. Whatever you are celebrating right now, we're happy you're spending part of your time with us. Please, as always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Share it with your friends over this holiday season. Get them to watch the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel or listen wherever you get your podcast. This is the League Podcast brought to you by Stellar Roofing, Windows, and Siding. Expect a stellar job every time you call Stellar. We are coming to you from the Connors and Ferris podcast studio, recording this on December 26th, right after Christmas, taking a little bit of time to talk about the Bills and the Eagles and then ranking our teams amongst the rest of the league. Dan and Jenna back at it this week. We will all be at the game on Sunday. Bills and Eagles, a 4:25 start, back to the 4:25s for this game, and should be a lot of fun to see these two teams match up. I want to go through a few things to get things started. How about some injury updates? The most important one, as Dan says, the most important foot in all of Western New York, maybe in all of Bills Nation, is Josh Allen. He seems to be fine. He's back at practice. We'll see how they officially list him. He's good to go. He'll be starting as expected on Sunday against the Eagles. Here's another couple of positives. At practice on Friday, Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid. We'll see how they are listed, even if they get a limited designation. I think they're both trending towards playing. On the downside, no Jordan Poyer, no Jordan Phillips, no Matt Prater, the kicker. So Bills are sticking with their kicker from last week, and they brought in some guys to test out. They are sticking with Michael Badgley, the kicker from last week. So let's see how that goes. The other thing is Daquan Jones. Sean's saying he had a setback with that calf. So let's see if Daquan is ready to go. This impacts the defense here. I mean, Jordan Phillips has given him good snaps when he's healthy. Jordan Poyer has been a mainstay at the safety position. So we'll see how they decide to play. Is it more Jordan Hancock? Is it Cam Lewis? What they decide to do there. And then, when you talk about Daquan, it's the run defense too. That's important this week against the Eagles, who have gotten better at running the football, something they did great last year, not as good this year, but they've gotten it going. So we'll see how that all maps out. For the Eagles, A.J. Brown back on the practice field, had his wisdom teeth removed. I'm sure in Philly there is some snarky comments about wisdom teeth being removed. So we'll see about that for A.J., but it looks like he's back. Landon Dickerson, who's been dealing with injuries all season long, was out at practice on Friday. No Lane Johnson. Doesn't really surprise me. I heard earlier in the week that he might be back this week. It's that Liz Frank injury that he has. Look, Lane Johnson is so important to the Eagles. My guess is he does not play and does not play until the playoffs. They want to get him as healthy as possible. He's already missed the last month, so that's not the case. It looks like they are pretty healthy on the defensive side. So let's see it. Jalen Carter is going to be back. He's had the procedures on both his shoulders. He is a game wrecker on the inside for them. So let's see how it plays out. So, yeah, Eagles and the Bills this week. And a lot of you know this is a week I both look forward to and kind of don't like, because I hear a lot about it. And for those of you who don't know, I've been covering the Bills now. It's 38 years this month. And so I am very tied to the Bills. Look, I've been doing it so long. There's a few of us probably that are as tied to this franchise media-wise as myself. Certainly Vic Carucci in Buffalo and Sal Majorana here in Rochester. Vic even longer total amount of time, and Sal and I about the same amount of time. So I've been covering this team for going on 4 decades. But the reason I do this job is because of my love of sports. And I ended up in Western New York. I mean, I went to school in Ithaca, but I ended up in Western New York and didn't know if I'd be here 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10, and instead it's 4 decades, right? And so I've been tied to this team. I've done work with the team, for the team, traveled with the team, traveled on my own, multiple people, great people that I've worked with. But I've been sports director for 36 years and covering the team for 38 years. But I grew up South Jersey, near Philly. That was how I loved sports. And nothing has been bigger to me in sports than the Eagles. I love the 76ers. I actually was a Yankees fan growing up and became much, much more of a Phillies fan when I moved away. And, Flyers hockey, but mostly Sixers. I do love the Sixers. They let me down so much. But I've grown up loving the Eagles, and it was a big thing with me in my life. My dad and I going to games with my brothers. This goes back to Franklin Field in Philadelphia. And anybody who's old enough to know, it's the University of Pennsylvania, cool place. When I walked out there the first time, I can still remember going through. It's what I think about when I go to all different stadiums. That was the first stadium I ever went to. And we had, it's like wooden bench seats, and we had different tickets for each game. And somebody would go with my dad. And my brothers all went, but I was probably the one who pushed the most to go when I was, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, those ages, going to games with my dad. And then they went to Veterans Stadium in Philly. They were atrocious at the time. In fact, the first game at Veterans Stadium was a preseason game, and they played the Bills. And O.J. Simpson was on the sidelines for the Bills. That's how far back that goes. It was around the same time that Highmark Stadium, or, Rich Stadium, was built at that time. So my love of sports really started with going to Eagles games. And, I played sports, but there was nothing like the Eagles for me. And so I went to hundreds of games at Veterans Stadium. We went to a few games on the road. It wasn't as big a deal that we were able to do that, but my dad and my brothers and friends of ours, we would go to the games. And that's how I got to love sports. And it just doesn't go away. So I absolutely follow the Eagles. So do a lot of my friends and family who also have jumped on board, with the Bills way more than in the Jim Kelly Bills days, just because it was very different then. They love this team. My friends will text me how much they love watching Josh Allen, asking me about the games. They root for the Bills unless they're playing the Eagles, and they really enjoy that part. My whole family does. My mom's a subscriber to Buffalo Plus that she watches. And so she knows a lot about the Bills through us, but that's the way I grew up. So, I always have kind of an eye on the Eagles, but I cover the Bills. So that just doesn't go away. It's different. I don't cover the Eagles. I don't need to be neutral. When I watch the Eagles, I'm sitting down with a beer watching the game. Of course, a lot of times, maybe I'm keeping an eye on the score, but I'm at the Bills. I'm focused on the Bills. And then at some point, I'll get to end up watching that. But to my point is, it's just been part of my life, and it doesn't really impact covering the Bills at all. Different conferences, they don't play that often, so it's not that big a deal. It is a little like George Costanza, where his two worlds collide.
You couldn't figure out the world's theory for yourself? It's just common sense. Anybody knows you gotta keep your worlds apart.
I love the Seinfeld references, but it kind of is. But at the same time, there is a thing about being a Philly fan, and no one is going to hate their teams more than we do. And Giants fans and Cowboys fans may think that, but it's just embedded in me to have a negativity with your teams that you follow. The Sixers, I get so mad at them. And the Eagles, yes, but it's just different because I'm so focused on the Bills during the year. I can't lock in as much as I used to when I was a kid, obviously. But, it's the team I grew up loving. And if you're a young guy in Buffalo and you ended up getting a job like mine in Cincinnati, doesn't mean you become a Bengals fan, but you cover the team. It's good for you when that team does well. It makes your job better and easier, more enjoyable. But it's different than being a fan. It just is. And there's people who cover the Bills now that are born and raised in Buffalo, huge Bills fans. Their mindset just changes. And that hasn't really had to happen for me because I didn't grow up a Bills fan. But like I said, I'm so tied to it. But it really goes back to my dad. I've told this story before. The first time the Eagles went to the Super Bowl, I was playing high school basketball at the time, shooting guard, sometimes point guard, sometimes on the bench, whatever it happened to be. But I was playing and I couldn't go. We talked about going. It was in New Orleans. And my dad said, well, the next time they go, we'll go to the game. And they didn't go until 2004. And I took him to the game. They played the Patriots. That has been the real plus for me being in Western New York and covering the Bills, covering all the Super Bowls with the Bills, having to live to see the Bills lose those games heartbreaking or in terrible fashion to the Cowboys twice, Washington, and then to the New York Giants, obviously the first one, the wide right game. And then when I finally got to see the Eagles in a Super Bowl with my dad, they were playing the Patriots. So everybody I knew in Western New York was rooting for the Eagles. And they lost that game. But it was an awesome experience to go with my dad. We had a great time that week. I did some work, just in general on the team, but I got to spend a lot of time with him and go to the game. And then, I was waiting. I've been predicting Bills Eagles Super Bowl for my whole career. It just hasn't happened. Could happen this year. But when the Eagles went back, my father had passed away. And when they went back to the Super Bowl, I was with my whole family watching the game. And what I said to Bills fans afterward was, I want Bills fans to experience this because I didn't think I would ever see the Eagles win a Super Bowl. I was in person. I've seen the Bills 4 times play in it. Got to see one Eagles one, but watched with my family. And it was an incredible experience to be together when they won a Super Bowl. Thought it would never happen. Philly special, all those things. And I kind of wish, I said for Bills fans, it would be nothing like it. And then, because they played against the Patriots again and Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and they won. Then they went back against the Chiefs. So everybody I knew was rooting for the Eagles again, and they lost. Then they went back against the Chiefs and crushed them, and everybody I know loved it. So they've been behind me when that part of me takes over. But at the same time, I love the Bills because I've gotten to cover them. I want them to do well. I want to see this franchise win a Super Bowl. It's just a little different when, that's part of your life. I know for a lot of people, I hear some reporters, and that's the way they do it. And they just say, I'm not a fan anymore. I love sports too much. I love the games. It's just the way I am. I just turn that off. It's easy for me covering the Bills because I respect the team. I want the team to do well. I want it to be what it is. I also covered them when they were lousy for 2 decades when they couldn't make the playoffs. So it's been a lot. It's easy for people now to say, oh, do you root for the team? It wasn't so easy for the long time when the best player was Brian Moorman, the punter. Okay. And I'm covering those teams too. And the engagement with fans was not great all the time. This team has been a pleasure. So not always. It's rough. Like I feel 13 seconds. I feel for the fans. Heck, we were all disappointed. Like you just have to understand the way that goes. But you got to go in the locker room when they lose. You got to ask the questions when they lose. It's tough. And, but I'm just used to doing it. And that's just the way I report. So again, 2 worlds collide. It's for a game. This game itself, how does it go? I think it's important to both teams. I think it's a little more important to the Bills for this reason. Still alive for the division. And really, I think because they're going to play likely 3 games to get to the Super Bowl on the road, right? I think, sure, the Jets could give the Bills their Andy Dalton moment, knock off the Patriots. Then if the Bills win their last 2, they win the division. Maybe it's the Dolphins, Quinn Ewers in the last game. Who knows? You never know what happens. Also, the Bills, I really think, let's be honest, you want that 5 seed. Number one, I think the Steelers is a good matchup for them. We just saw that, though they're playing better. But at the same time, it hold out a little hope that you could get another home game, right? That could be the case because of the way as the 5 seed. If you win your game, you need a couple of upsets, but that could happen. Could even be for the championship game, right? Wilder things. I don't know if wilder things have happened, but let's see how it ends up playing out. But, for the Bills, I think it's more. The Eagles are kind of locked in that third spot. And sure, they could pass the Bears, but they lost to the Bears head to head. Bears would have to lose twice, which could happen. Eagles have the Commanders next week. Oh, I'm sure Dan Quinn's going to have his team all ready to play. God, even yesterday, even Christmas, punting the ball 4-11. Come on, Dan, turn the hat back or be a little more aggressive when your team is bad. I don't know why I'm going off on that with Dan Quinn, but does a little whining. It's the way I look at it. Good football coach, not a good head coach. Anyhow, that's who they have the last week. So I don't think it means as much to the Eagles. Doesn't mean they're not trying to win. They need to get on a roll here. Like, they beat the Commanders and the Raiders. Not exactly world beaters, those 2 games, but they did play better. And I'm sure they want to get in a really good game, get Jalen Carter back out there, get Hurts in the running game going again, and see how they play. But I think they're going to be the 3 seed no matter what. I think for the Bills, that 5 seed is important, and maybe, just maybe, you get lucky. The only benefit, and hear me out, Bills fans, the only benefit to that being done, and they're not going to be the 5 seed, not going to be the division winner, say if they were to lose to Philly, is that you get to rest players that last week. Because even as the 5 seed, I think Pittsburgh's going to maybe get able to rest players the last week because they're going to win the division. So that's the only plus. Because, look, if the Bills win Sunday, they got to play the next week because if Miami knocks off New England, here they are as the 1 seed. Plus, I think they would be able to lock up the 5 seed, which would be big. So I think it's a little bigger for the Bills. I think coming off that game against Cleveland, I think they want to play better. I'm not big on this team, and then the next week they played them, and you watch how Washington plays the next week, and I think they're all different games. So the Browns may play the Steelers tough this week. I mean, who knows how that'll go? So let's see how it plays out, but I do think it's a little more important to the Bills itself. How the game will go. I did a podcast with Rob Ellis out of Philly. He's great. He's been on the channel before. He's very honest about the Eagles. I love the way he covers that team as a guy who grew up as an Eagles fan. The way he covers that team, brutally honest, very Philly of him. He knows they're good, not great. They have gotten some things going. Their defense is really good. Not great against the run. So that is a strength for the Bills. And I think it's a James Cook game. I think we're going to get rain. The last time the Bills and Eagles played, it was about the same weather. It's the game that went to overtime. Eagles ended up winning. Jake Elliott hit that 60-yard, 59-yard field goal in the rain to tie the game, send it to overtime. Bills got the field goal, and then the Eagles scored the touchdown. Eagles thought it was great. They were 10-1. That team fell apart from that point on. Bills were a mess, 6-6. Went on a great run, won 5 in a row, and ended up as the 2 seed. So you never know how it goes game to game. But that game was miserable, cold, and rainy. And I think that's what we're expected to get in Orchard Park. So I think both teams are going to want to run the ball. Let's see how it plays out. But if you want to listen to Rob Ellis, it's on our channel. I thought he did a great job breaking down the way the Eagles are and how these teams match up. So we'll see how that goes for Sunday. All right. I hope this gives you a little indication of the way I am at the game. I think it's more important for the Bills. It'd be great if the Bills won this game. Like I said, I don't think it means as much to the Eagles. What my real hope is they meet again in San Francisco in February for the Super Bowl, because I want that to happen at some point. So it's still alive for this year. So let's see how it happens. All right. I want to do my top 5, bottom 5 for the league. And God, I should have saved this. I'm going to start with my bottom 5. Commanders, number 5. They stink. It's a bad organization. I don't think Dan Quinn is a good head coach. I think they need better than that for Jaden Daniels. but they've had a lot of injuries. He's not a head coach. He's not a head coach. And I don't like the way he runs that team. I think Daniels carried him last year. They have an older team, a lot of injuries. They need some changes in the roster, and they are just flailing away heading to the end of the year. Cardinals stink. Jonathan Gannon, I think he's going to get fired. I don't know what's going to happen with Kyler Murray. They don't win. I got him at 4. I'm going to move the Raiders to 3. They played the Eagles abysmal. Didn't even barely look like an NFL team. And you're like, how bad is this team? How atrocious. And in Philly, they're like, who cares how you did against the Raiders? They're terrible. The next week, they go head-to-head with the Texans, take them right to the end. Had a shot to knock them off, which is wild because they're not good. They did get Geno Smith back, but they've been terrible. I think it might be one and done for the coach. Sorry, Pete. Like, that just isn't cutting it. I just want to save 2-1 for the 2 Jersey teams, not New York teams. Jets are terrible. I got them at 2. They need major changes. They don't have a quarterback. I'll take all this back, Jets, if you knock off the Patriots Sunday. But let's see how that plays out. And the Giants, number 1. They're a mess. They're going to get the number 1 pick. They do have some talent. Let's see how they come back from injuries a little bit, but they need a lot. And they're going to get the number 1 pick. So maybe they trade it. Maybe they do that. Brian Daboll got a lot of heat for it. I don't think Mike Kafka is going to stay there as a head coach. I don't know who they're going to hire, but I got them at number 1. My top 5. This one, it's kind of wild the way this is. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, and somebody will write it, and I'm not looking at it right now. I think the only team that's clinched the division is the Eagles, which is crazy because they were flailing away for a while, but the Cowboys dropped down. So Eagles clinched the division. A couple other ones could happen this weekend, but the West in the NFC is crazy. Right now, I'm going to put Seattle 5. I don't think they're the best team. They may end up there. If they win and can get the 1 seed, who knows what they can do. I don't trust the quarterback. And I think you guys all know. Right? We saw it with the Jets. We saw it with Minnesota last year. Sam Darnold is a very talented player, but I don't trust him in big moments. But I think that team is good. I got him 5. I'm probably undervaluing the Niners right now at 4. I don't like the Niners, but this team is good. I think they're better than a lot of people thought they were. They've had a ton of injuries on defense. Their offense is playing really well. Shanahan's really got all the buttons. They are CMC. Man, he is just getting every touch possible. They are using him up. He is a tough guy. I got him 4 for right now. They're probably better than that. I probably should have adjusted it. But for right now, I'm going to put him at 4. They could win out and get the 1 seed. And then we'll see what happens. 3 seed, the Broncos. They won again, beat the Chiefs with no offense at all. But they somehow found a way. I got to give them that. I don't mind the Bills going to Denver. I really don't. I thought more about it. Their defense is good. I think the Bills, I don't love their offense. And I know, he makes plays, Bo Nix does, in the second halves, and they did, and they went down the field and scored. But and Chiefs defense is good, but I don't think they're a great team. I think they're a good team that's won a lot of close games. 2, I have the Rams. And here I am putting them ahead of the Niners and the Seahawks because right now they're the 6th seed. I just think the Rams are the best all-around team in that division. And watch out. They got 2 pretty easy games. If they get the 1 seed, they're going to be tough to keep out of the Super Bowl at the 1 seed. So let's see where that plays out. And number 1, I'm giving it to them for this week. The Jags. Number 1. They've played like it. Maybe this is fool's gold like the Colts were earlier, but at the time, I got to give it to them. They went out to Denver and put up 30-some points. They may be one of those teams that ends up at the 1 seed and then loses in the second round. They may also go to the Super Bowl. Trevor Lawrence is playing like a real quarterback, really good quarterback. So something has clicked there. They may be just on this run, and it may be at the right time. That being said, I don't mind the Bills going there. I don't know why. Maybe it's because these teams don't have a great playoff experience, certainly, but that I don't feel that much of a sense of like, oh boy, You got to go there. I don't want them going to Houston, but we'll see how that plays out if the Bills would have to go to Houston. So, and it looks like, that could be the case still. We'll see how this game, as you're watching this, how this game plays out. But I'm not really, there's no place that I don't think the Bills can go and win. The question is, can they go to 3 of them and win and get to the Super Bowl? So, hey, one of the final 2 games at Highmark Stadium, which is, I was figuring, I mean, I don't even know, 350 games or whatever it is that I've covered there for the Bills. So it'll be fun a couple more times to go back to Highmark to see this team play before we move across the street. All right, that's going to do it for me. As always, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe here at the Connors and Ferris Podcast Studio, the League podcast brought to you by Stellar, where you always get a stellar job. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for listening to me as I pontificate about how I'm still in this chair, still doing this job, and getting to see Bills and Eagles in Orchard Park on Sunday. All right, for Dan Fates and Jenna Cottrell and our entire Buffalo Plus team, again, thanks for being with us, and we'll see you next time on Buffalo Plus.